What is going on, beautiful people? I am Lee Hammock, the diagnosed self-aware narcissist, and welcome to another episode of A Narcissist Explains. In this series, I take my TikToks and my YouTube shorts and I make them longer. I expound upon them. Today's episode is going to be about how narcissistic people rarely ever give up, and they will hoover you or try to get you back even years later on. Stay tuned, like and subscribe for more. Peace. Oh, 4 years later and still trying to hoover you back into a toxic narcissistic relationship. And if you're new here, I'm a narcissist. I have narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissistic people like to use what I call filler statements or to test the waters to see if you're still interested in them. Filler statements are a form of a hoover because if she were to respond to that text differently, instead of saying, did you mean to send this to Dorit? This could have went an entirely different direction. If she would respond and say, hey, I've been thinking about you too, or whatever, they could somehow end up talking and back together. I'm not saying that she would go back. I'm just saying that's how he was expecting it to go. Now, this is also an example of how narcissistic people will use memories to try to get you back too. Music. Hey, our favorite song was playing and I thought about you. 4 years later, I thought I'd send you a random text message. If y'all don't have kids together and whatnot, you need to block people and cut them out of your lives because they'll keep trying even years later. Because even years later, narcissistic people still think that you belong to them, regardless of whether or not they have moved on or you have moved on. So, welcome back. As you can see, like, this is not gonna be 4 years later, like that message right there. I'm telling y'all, people will lose their mind, y'all. Narcissistic people, years later, will try to suck you back into a relationship. They just will. That's part of the dynamic right there. It really is. It's part of the dynamic. I always talk about filler statements. Feeler. Filler statements, like testing the waters. Like this woman said, when your ex sends you a random good morning text, even though you've been divorced for 4 years after 18 years of narcissistic abuse, when he's in a new relationship, I'm telling you, it does not matter. People keep saying, people think like, once they find a new supply, they'll leave you alone. No, that is not always the case. Once enough time goes by, they'll leave you alone. That is not always the case. A lot of narcissistic people have this ownership mindset of their significant others, of their partners, of their wives, of their spouses, or their husbands. You know, it just gets to the point where they think they belong to you. Well, you belong to them. They get to the point where they think you belong to them, so they're going to act as such. They're going to treat you like you belong to them. So if you belong to them, they're going to act like, even years later, after 4 years, like they had 18 years together, you know. So 4 years is nothing. Y'all were together longer than what you've been apart. So that person still think they own you. Even if they're in a new relationship, they're going to truly feel that way as well. Good morning. Good morning. You all right? I'm all good over here on the East Coast. Why'd you message me? I hear the song Iris. You see right there? That person right there, you know, you see right there? In that situation that arises, you have to understand that, like, even years later, they'll use things that you like the song Iris. I guess that might, I've never heard the song before. I guess that might be one of the songs that they might have bonded to. Or that's what narcissists want you to do, focus on the good times. You remember Iris, when we were dancing in the the sunshine or the rain to Iris, and we ended up clapping cheeks in the backseat of the Jeep? You know, those are good times, right? We had some good times together, right? They want you to focus on the good times so they can rope you back in there. Because if you are still vulnerable 4 years later, which is still possible, y'all, you know, because enough time has went by, maybe they've changed, but they're in a new relationship. So you see, they really haven't changed, have they? You know, rope you back in there. And then y'all start a buddy again, and y'all getting it back together again, and it gets super toxic again, and you realize they haven't changed. And you feel like you had 4 years no contact, 2 years no contact, and now you got to start all over because you fell for the hoover. You fell for the good times, the good moments. Narcissistic people will use anything that will trigger good memories to try to hoover you back in. They just will. They will use, like, Iris, the song. Whatever happened to that song, they could have been their wedding song or stuff like that. So she flashes back to the wedding when she was dancing with her dad, or that might be the last time she saw her dad alive or something like that. So she keys in, and she starts crying, and then they bond over that moment right there. Whatever good times you had, they're going to hyper focus on that. They're not going to mention any bad times, and they're not going to. Your 18 years of narcissistic abuse, That person, because y'all stayed together 18 years, thinks that you were okay with the treatment. The divorce is a formality. Like, we divorced, but I still own this person. They still belong to me. And I notice a lot of people in my comment section are starting to say nowadays, like, explain the ownership. Like, I don't know, like, they feel like they own you. I described it in one of my videos previously. Like, I have two phones. So, phone number one right here. Let's say I get this phone. Like, this is you, the old supply, the spouse. This is you. I get this phone. I love this phone. I care about this phone. I cherish this phone. I love bombing the steam off this phone. But after a while, I get tired of this phone. It's the same old phone. See it over and over again. This phone comes out right here, right? Oh, it's red and pretty and nice. I still have this phone. I still own this phone, but I'm going to use this phone, right? But if somebody else comes, I don't want this phone anymore. I still have it. But if anybody else comes and tries to take my phone, it's still my phone. You know what I mean? I don't want this phone unless somebody else wants it. But this is my phone as well. Ownership. They think you belong to them. It's like an object, And it happens in most narcissistic toxic relationships. They feel like you belong to them. You can't do anything. So I just said, hoovering years later. Like 4 years later, like nothing happened. And like I said, forget the bad stuff. We had good times, right? They always tell you to focus on the good times. What about the good times? You focusing on the bad. That's why we can't move forward. You focusing on the bad and things like that. No, you have to be able to stand in your power, in your truth. You have to. Because I tell people, all narcissists do not hoover you, but some will not ever stop hoovering you. They won't. You know what I mean? People are like, what do I do? What do I do? Do I need to wait on it? No. Prepare for them to reach out, but don't wait around. What I mean by prepare, stay strong, live your truth, and understand who that person really is. Don't wait around for them to reach out, because then you won't be moving on. You're like, I'm waiting around for them to reach out. I'm waiting around. They haven't reached out yet. I know it's coming. They might not ever reach out, but like I said, you have to prepare for them to reach out. But don't wait around and just, hope that some people hope they reach out. So I'm telling you, I get Snapchats and stuff like that sometimes asking me how to get narcissistic people back and hoover them back. I want to manipulate the narcissist. I'm like, oh my goodness. I know that it's not a normal mindset to want to manipulate a narcissist. A person that's treating you so badly that you understand that they're treating you badly, to manipulate somebody like that back into a relationship. You don't really want that person. You're addicted to that person. You have a lot of things going on with that person, but you're not in love with that person. You're not. You're obsessed with them. Narcissistic people make you like for you to become obsessed with them, because once you become obsessed, you're done. They feel like they can get away with doing anything to you, and they always do good stuff for you. They will. It's not always going to be bad. I need y'all to understand that. Narcissistic relationships are not always going to be bad relationships. They are not. They just won't be bad relationships. Some of them are going to be good, and they're going to want you to focus on the good times. They're going to want you to hyper focus on the good times, and forget the bad times. Like we had more good times. Manipulation or hoovering does not work unless there are a handful of good times, some good memories. If it was 100% bad, you would not be addicted to this relationship. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't. There are good times that you remember. They, like I said, to that song, like she said, Iris, there's something in that song they had a good time attached to it. They're not going to send the song like a Lil Jon song they got to fight and they were arguing to. Like, you remember that we was We Don't Give a F by Lil Jon was playing in the club and we got to arguing? They're not going to sing that with it, because then, if you don't give a damn, we don't give a, hey, if you don't give a, and then we got to fighting in the club, me and you was throwing hands in the club. It was crazy, one crazy times, right? That's not a good time. They're not going to focus on the bad times. They're going to focus on the good times. When they try to hoover you back in years later, they're going to focus on the good times. They just are. They're going to write you a letter, a 4-page letter like Aaliyah, you know what I mean? With their favorite, they're gonna spray their favorite perfume or their favorite cologne on the letter, so you smell it. You know what I mean? Or they're gonna say something about, they're gonna remember the cologne that you wear or the perfume that you wear and send it to you. It's like, good morning. What are you reaching out to me for? Well, I smelled. I smelled I smelled some Versace cologne today. It reminded me of you. Just wanted to see how you were doing. After they done cheated on you, left you for your brother or your sister or somebody. They done left you for a family member, and But now they remember you because of the smell. You see that right there? I'm telling you, they will use all. There are no limits to what they will use during the hoovering process. There are no limits, like no limit soldiers and things like that. So I say you have to stay strong. Don't wait around on the hoover, but be prepared just in case they do. Being prepared means you are understanding what you went through. You are working on yourself. You are understanding narcissistic abuse and the components that come along with it. And then you are, like I said, practicing a lot of self-love, self-discipline. You're moving forward with your life. You're not sitting at a standstill waiting on them to reach out. You're not focusing on them. You focus on you. When you rebuild that self-love, they cannot. When you rebuild the tower of self-love, they cannot break it down, and they cannot get in there. They don't have a key. Do not give them a key to your tower of self-love. I promise you. Anyways, y'all, was it 7:03 a.m. I had to get my son up for school. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like and subscribe for more. Another Hoodness is out. Peace.